Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is Beams. We are a live online music series, and we're excited to get the show started tonight. This series is put on by ASU Care. We are a division of ASU Cultural Affairs, and while we can't get together in the venue in person, we're so happy we have this method of getting together with you. We love seeing your comments and questions in the chat, so please don't be shy, keep it positive, and enjoy this night together. We're going to tell you about a couple upcoming events. Next week, our Beams show. Thursday, we're back to our 7 p.m. start time, will be Sonrisa. Jazz lovers are going to like this show a lot. We're going to hear all original music from this trio. They last performed at Care as a 5-piece, but they're tightening up to a trio for this one, and we're so excited to have them perform and take over the Beam stream. Some of our other series that are coming up that you'll be able to enjoy the same way you are now, YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch. We have our special Canal Convergence edition of Gather. That's our monthly storytelling event. This one is going to be Sunday at 6 p.m., which is not its normal time, but we're getting together with Scottsdale Public Art to do this very special edition. We'll have 3 storytellers and a guest host, and we hope you'll tune in for that. We also have our teas, our Tuesday morning music and tea events, which are normally in person. Those are live online only. And the next one will be November 17th. Those are morning programs at 10:30, and we'll have the ASU Gospel Choir. Everything stays up on our Facebook and our YouTube channels, so if you can't make these shows live, we hope you'll come back and tune in when you're available to do that. We're about to hand it over now to Elizabeth Ersic. Read her bio. She is just a very educated, spiritual, awesome lady. She's a multi-instrumentalist, a composer, and we're so, so happy that she agreed to perform. We're live in the venue right now, missing that live audience, but we hope you'll give Elizabeth love in the chat, ask questions. She'll be talking to you all, and here we go. We're going to hand it over to Elizabeth Ersic.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth. It's wonderful to be here in the ASU Care Cultural Center, to be invited to a series that celebrates Arizona artists. It's really a thrill. I actually recorded my first album in Sedona, Arizona when I lived there. And that album got me a fellowship at the Yale Institute of Sacred Music. After that, I really wanted to return to Arizona, and I was so fortunate to become a professor of world religions at Mesa Community College and also to continue with my music. While I've been here, I've even come to Arizona State. I completed my doctorate in religious studies here, and so it's really wonderful to come and share with the community again. Well, tonight is also my birthday. We've gone around on different dates this fall, and this was the one that worked. So a little later in the program, all of you that have fall birthdays, we're going to be celebrating you. And I just look forward to this hour that we're going to spend together. The music you're going to hear is mostly from my album Gratitude, which is my newest album. And we will start with 2 pieces, and then I'll take your questions. Enjoy. And now we are queuing up the second piece. So thank you for being here. I'm going to look and see. Oh my, we have a couple happy birthday greetings on the list. That's really, really wonderful. Thank you so much. We're going to go on to the next piece. The next piece is called Kume, also from the Gratitude album. It's the only chant on the album. And as I said, I was at the Institute for Sacred Music, so I'm going to be talking about what actually is sacred music. Most of the religious traditions have sacred chants. This is usually a word or a phrase, mostly in the most ancient of languages of that tradition. So you might have the Om in Hinduism and Buddhism. There's Arabic sacred chant. Hebrew sacred chant, and certainly the indigenous traditions also have sacred chant. Well, it's interesting that when it comes to Christianity, the Gospels were written in ancient Greek, but there are only a handful of phrases that are left in Aramaic, which scholars believe is the language that Jesus spoke. So if we were to create a sacred chant in Christianity, these would be the words. Kume or Kume means rise in Aramaic, and Talitha Kume is rise, young girl. So I'm on this track with M.G. Johnson. He's a very talented guitarist and percussionist and drummer. He's also local here in Phoenix. And enjoy. Oh, and my cello is going to be my drum. So go ahead. Okay. Do you hear all the instruments in your head? This is from Colleen. As you compose, do you compose one instrument at a time? Thank you, Colleen, for that question. It often starts with some type of melody, and sometimes it's percussion, and it comes in layers. But once, especially like sacred chant, you heard a lot of the repetition. So there were layers and layers and layers put on it that kind of build it into a crescendo. Thank you for your question. From Bill, beautiful piece. What was your creative process while trying to express gratitude through your instrument? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think especially with sacred music, but I would say this is true for all musicians, you just want to be in the pocket of what it is you want to communicate and create. And in this case, because most of my music is kind of contemplative and laid back, hopefully I'm in that kind of a mood. So let's go on to the next piece. The next piece is called Gaia. I got an introduction and then an invitation from the University of Winchester in England. They were doing an ecology conference and they wanted to involve the arts. So they invited me as a speaker as well as a musician. I was the only musician in the group. The rest were visual artists, and they were all set up in a gallery next to the lecture hall. And it was really a thrill to kind of co-create across mediums. Well, the piece Gaia, which was also in the title of the conference, that's an ancient goddess of the earth. And so the musical piece I created, it's 5 mini movements, and it's my musical interpretation of the life of the planet. So what you're going to hear is this kind of cosmic, watery sound in the beginning. And then out of that will come melody. And when harmony comes in, it's both major and minor to express growth. Finally, rhythm is introduced. And this is the section that, for me, is where humans are. I found it very interesting that in the life of the planet, humans have been here 1% of that life. So the instruments in that section, the rhythmic instruments, are rain sticks and drums and instruments that we've made from the earth. After that, there's a small piano solo, which is kind of an echo of the theme, kind of recalling these more ancient times, then moving back into the cosmos and water. Well, in addition to creating this, when I came home, a very gifted and talented photographer friend of mine, Cozy McPhee, offered to create a video. He lives in Sedona, and he takes such beautiful, wonderful pictures. And so what you're going to see is a montage of just glorious pictures of Sedona with the concert piece, Gaia. Enjoy. Well, here I am at another instrument. I hope you enjoyed the Gaia video. The piano was my first instrument, and I see a couple questions here. Tom asked the question, when did you start to play the cello? I actually started the cello in 4th grade, but I started the piano in 1st. It was really my first instrument. And it's really where my creativity blossomed. I'm going to tell you a story of how it happened for me here at the piano, and then I'm going to ask you to reflect on when it happened for you, when your creativity opened up, so you can be thinking about that. As I said, I started in 1st grade, and as a musician, like most musicians, we are kind of trained to play other people's creativity. We're taught to play the instrument, but then play a song that someone else has written. This is really different from when you're a child, especially, and you're given a paintbrush or Play-Doh. You instantly create your own creation, and you excitedly run home and share it with your family and friends. Well, I was trained and I learned to play other people's music to the point that in 3rd grade, I gave a small class concert for my 3rd grade class. But shortly after that, I just wanted to create something on my own. So this piece didn't even have a name. There's only one note in it that I could say is really the creative brilliance, if there's anything. And I want you to listen and see if you can hear it. So I call it First Piece. Did you hear it? The one note? That note, I thought was just to look back on it now, I think as creatives, we're always wanting to innovate. We want to play something we haven't heard. We want to paint or draw something we haven't seen. And even in terms of intellectual development, we want to create ideas and advance them in new directions. I think that the piano really gave that to me. At the same time, I continued on with classical music lessons, and I thought I would just play a little bit of a piece called Rustle of Spring by Christian Sindig. So you get the idea. A lot of fast notes, a lot of big chords. But at the same time I was doing that, I continued to create my own music. And they were mostly piano pieces. And this one, called Awakening, is kind of in the style of what I ended up continuing to do later on. Thank you very much. So let me go and see another question. There's a question here from Janice about my spirituality. It's true that I do a lot of work on women's issues. And the Gaia, the ancient Greek goddess, that conference I was invited to, was looking at how kind of feminine spirituality kind of moves through different eras. So I would say that my music, when it communicates something of fullness, I think that's what this music, the softness and the fullness of it, is my way to express that part of my spirituality. And now it's going to be time for you. So as I said, I'd like you to think about your own creativity, a time when your creativity blossomed. Now, I'm going to play a lap harp. I like this because it's all tuned to the same note, and I can actually speak to you while I am playing. In terms of sacred music, sometimes what you find is the words that are being spoken, just spoken right now, can sound very different when there's music behind it. And so often music is used when you're being asked to kind of let go and maybe dream or recall, which is what I'm asking you to take a moment to do right now. So just take a deep breath and relax. And recall a time when you were creative. Maybe you were a little one and you discovered a new art or a new way of expressing yourself. But for some of you, it might have come later. Often, when we have times of intense joy and also deep sadness, it's helpful to have something other than words to make sense of what we're experiencing and to express it. Have you had one of those experiences? And creativity, while it's predominant in the arts, it exists in so many parts of our lives. It can happen for you if you're a cook in the kitchen and you make something wonderful. It can happen while you're just daydreaming. It can happen while you're inventing something. But when did it happen for you? So I'm going to ask you, if you feel like it, to mention it in our chat here. And if we have some time, I will read some of these for the group. It's always wonderful to know where people's creativity comes from. And for many, their creativity and their spirituality come from the same source. So, as I mentioned, tonight is my birthday. And for many of you out there, you have birthdays in the fall, so we're going to celebrate you. I got a ukulele for my niece for Christmas a couple years ago, and I started to play it, and I just thought it was a fun instrument. And so I brought it into the college, and a friend and a colleague, Jody Richardson, she's an excellent music therapist, ukulele player, and also professor of psychology. And I asked her to show me a few things, and she did. And so we created a duo. We're called the Ukuladies, And our claim to fame is that we will sing you happy birthday at the college in the break room and sometimes as a tiny desk concert at your office. So since Jody's not with me tonight, so you've just got me for happy birthday, but we'll be celebrating all the fall babies. So if you have a birthday this fall, feel free to put your hand up or do something in the chat and let us know that you're being celebrated. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, fall babies. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, fall babies. Happy birthday to you. And now we're going to do happy birthday another way. Happy birthday, all of you. You know, the birthday is a celebration that, to me, is the most pure of all of our celebrations because it's just celebrating that you exist. So enjoy that and take it in. Birthdays also, in many religious traditions, have special importance. They are times when you weren't here and now you are. So when you come around on your birthday, in many of the spiritual traditions, there's an understanding that maybe your ears and eyes are open a little more to hear and see. And it's also a time for you to dream and put out there what you would hope to happen for your coming year. So enjoy that. Well, I love the synthesizer. You see that I played the piano and then I started to compose. And while I respect my acoustic purist friends who will only play acoustic instruments, for me, the synthesizer opens up worlds. And I love that there's this other kind of palette of sound that becomes almost like a creative partner. Someone asked earlier about how these pieces get created. When I'm working in a sound like that, it can stimulate me to do other kinds of chords and things and melodies. And this, I'd like to do one synthesizer piece for you. It's called Moving Towards the Sun. And then after that, we are going to have another video by Cozy. It's the emergence video from my album Unspoken Touch. And enjoy. Enjoyed the video. Tom asked, did the music or the video come first? Who edits these great videos? Well, I have to give all the credit to Cozy for that. He actually took existing pieces that I had already created and set a montage of different images. We actually talked about it. And for Emergence, this was my first album, and there are a lot of these kind of spring and opening and cloud type images. And it really kind of fit the feel of what that album was about and where it led to in my life. And that track, Emergence, has been used in multiple venues for celebrations and for kind of sacred times as background music for people as they're kind of contemplating something new, which is really wonderful. So to have these wonderful images with them gives me really great joy. I do sometimes create music for video. I've done some music for a documentary, and I also do music for organizations, charity organizations that are looking for an anthem or some instrumental music to go along with their powerful messages. So those are different ways that the music and the different art can work. As I said, when I was in Winchester, I was working with visual artists, and we were using our art, and we were reading different things of spirituality, and then sharing our art and having it move between us in terms of our inspiration. So thank you for those questions. I see a couple people here have put up what they are, when their creative moment opened. Mara said it happened in her prayer life. And Curran said that he makes mockumentaries, little films about people and places. It's really true. Your creativity can come out in so many different ways. Bobby shared with us that it was her first guided writer's workshop. Sometimes it's just putting yourself out there and letting creativity take over and to see what happens. You kind of let the universe come back to you and tell you what it wants to be known. At least that would be maybe a spiritual way of looking at it. Someone asked earlier that a question about creativity. Where did my creativity come from? That's a very interesting question. And, studying religion and art, I can say quite honestly that many of my artist friends may not practice a structured, organized religion. And yet they understand what this source is that many people who are in formalized religions feel. And that's where I think it comes together. This kind of place, we birth life, we sing songs, we connect with the community and with the cosmos, all from a very, very centralized place. And the more that you can do to take you into that kind of place, the more exciting and fulfilling I think life can be. So thank you for your question. Kathy shared that she's still waiting for her creativity. Well, I have to tell you that playing instruments, I've had more people tell me, oh, I wish I'd taken up an instrument, or I wish I hadn't stopped my lessons. And I have something to say about this. Classical music and the instruments that we learn to play on typically are instruments made for Western classical music that is just 400 years of music from one continent on the planet. The truth is that when you go all around the world, there's so many instruments that you can instantly play, like a drum or a native flute or a rain stick, something percussive. And for many people, I loved when I went to Bali to see the gamelan. You join a gamelan orchestra by hitting a gong, but you're in a full orchestra of those instruments playing in a certain rhythm. So there's very little training needed to get to that point. And so to open to your creativity, I would invite you to just try. There are creativity workshops that people give, and I find that sometimes going to something where you get to sample and maybe find something that grabs you. I will be honest, while I love to compose music, I am not the most gifted visual artist, but when I've gone to workshops like that and they allow us to make collages where you cut out pictures and assemble something, then you're creating something new, and I've enjoyed that. So those are just a couple tips. What's your favorite birthday cake? Well, because it's October, I really do love carrot cake. I know that's not such a typical birthday cake, but for an October baby, that's a good one. And I also really love pumpkin pie, and we only seem to get it this time of year, so I even have sometimes pumpkin pie for my birthday. I should have a podcast. Wow. Like a life coach. Thank you, Mary Ann. Well, I hadn't thought of that, but you certainly are welcome on my website to see when I am doing more formal podcasts. I'm usually invited by other groups that are inviting me into their podcast, and I certainly enjoy doing the music. Also, this album, Gratitude, you can find it on Spotify or any of the digital platforms. So I want to share one last piece, and then I'll take a couple more questions. This last piece is called Journey On. I created it at a time when I was looking for some inspiration of how to move forward. And this has been an incredible year. Let's just be honest. It's been a year that we've all been asked to draw upon strengths and resources that maybe we didn't even know that we had. I'm grateful for all the blessings that have come through this year, and I hope that you and your family have managed to come through this with a certain amount of grace and gentleness. And because of that, Journey On is the piece that I really would love to leave with you tonight, because it really expresses that there is another day coming, and we can all be in this together. So for Journey On, I also had other friends who contributed and played on it. Daniel Hertz is playing didgeridoo. Richard Cook is playing silver flute. And my own sister, Kathy Ursic, is playing violin. So enjoy. So I hope your journey's on with a lot of peace, a lot of joy, and hope. Hope for a good day, hope and belief in us as a community, hope in coming together and really making our world good and vibrant. And we all long for those times when we can be together as community, and I certainly look forward to that time too. So even if it's not your birthday, you can use this time to dream, to reflect, for what you're hoping for. And if you want to put it in the chat, we have a few minutes here to look at what your hope is. So I've been asked about inspiration. I'm seeing people writing in right now, kindness and hope for more love in the world. More love in the world comes from us giving more love to the world. And that's a beautiful, beautiful sentiment. The inspiration for my next album. I really think this idea of hope is the focus. And more, finding a place of peace in the middle. Our world, it keeps changing, and I expect that that's going to continue. This accelerated change from technology, and hopefully technology that will help us get over some of the pandemic. But we're going to have to learn to adjust. And finding peace in the middle and hope for going forward, and how to do that all together, is something that I would very, very much like to contribute to. I've really, really enjoyed this evening tonight, and I want to give a shout out to our tech team here. We have Jared and Kaylin and Stacy in the house. They've been wonderful tech people. And all of you that have tuned in tonight, I very much appreciate it. I should let you know that my dear Frank is representing all of you here in the concert hall, and he has also been an excellent roadie. So enjoy your birthdays this year, enjoy what's coming, find places to inspire you, and find hope and kindness. Thank you so much. Good night.
Elizabeth Ersic, thank you so much for a wonderful program. We had some meditation in there. We had so many different instruments and all the wonderful positive comments and questions in the chat. We really needed this. We miss you. We miss our audiences. And we appreciate Elizabeth bringing some of her people here. And it was just so excellent to have this be our Thursday night. It was so positive. Thank you. So next week, Beams is back to our 7 p.m. time. Thursday, November 5th, we will have Sonrisa. Again, that is straight ahead jazz. 3 really well-known players in the Valley, Scott Sadlon, Yanni Goudelis, Ted Sistrunk, who is a monster on the upright bass. We're really excited for that program. And we're doing this every week except Thanksgiving, so we hope you'll tune into our other Thursday night programs. November 12th, we will have Indian classical music. November 19th, we'll have Latin rock, and we hope you enjoy that Thanksgiving night off. We will have no show then, but we will be back the first Thursday in December. Thanks again. We do have gratitude for this night and everyone that was here with us. Thank you again, Elizabeth Ursic. Thank you, Frank. Thanks to our tech team, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your week and weekend. Thank you so much.